TV30 studio, here's Jim Schneider.
Well, hi, and welcome to this special edition of inFocus on WVCY Channel 30. We're so glad you've joined us as we talk about a very important issue going on right now. That is Election Day coming up next Tuesday, April 7th. However, early voting is now underway and continues through the course of this week. Even City of Milwaukee is extending that into Saturday as well. But it really varies from municipality to municipality. So you want to check with your clerk's office as to your early voting times. But the Election Day on Tuesday, polls will open at 7 a.m. and will close at 8 o'clock p.m. And we just encourage you to be informed on the issues and to vote prayerfully as you go to the polls this coming Tuesday. This race will have many, many different things on the ballot depending upon where you live. The spring election is called the nonpartisan election, and it is such where some of you are voting on mayor, some of you are voting on school board seats, some of you are voting on circuit court judges, some of you have referenda questions, and so it really varies from location to location. Well, we'll give you a website near the end of the program where you can get to learn what's on your ballot, but also on everybody's ballot will be the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. And so we want to remind you of that. This coming Monday night on inFocus, we'll delve more into the Supreme Court race and looking at this 10-year term that awaits the state and whether or not the court will continue to skew liberal regardless, but will that be a 4-3 skew or a 5-2 skew? So we'll delve into more issues on that this coming Monday night with Daniel Degner and Sam Krebs from Wisconsin Family Council and Wisconsin Family Action. Well, this past Monday night, we had an inFocus program and we were dealing with 3 different races, 2 of which were dealing with different school board seats. And then also we focused on the city of Franklin and the mayor of Franklin. John Nelson was here in studio. And since that program aired Monday night, we were contacted by Steve Olson, former mayor of Franklin, who is running as an official write-in candidate. And Steve, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much. I wish you and your audience a blessed Holy Thursday.
Great, thank you.
And I hope Good Friday is good for all of you, and let's all celebrate on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's where the celebration lies on Sunday, that's the resurrection of the Savior, yep. And so very, very important. Before we get into the issues of the race and perhaps some of the contention going on in this race, for those who don't know the name of Steve Olson, just give us a little bit of your background because you've been in that mayor's seat before.
I was 9 years as mayor, and before that, 12 years as an alderman for 2 different districts. I would hope that people would recognize the name in the city of Franklin. I've been around in city politics for 32 years. I've been in Franklin since 1988, served the city since 1990, seen lots of changes, but especially during the duration of my time as mayor. And of course, I lost the election in 2023 in the Democratic wave. State Supreme Court Justice Janice Protasiewicz is a neighbor of mine.
Okay.
And she happened to carry the city very well. And I believe that's one of the big reasons that I lost.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the current race for mayor. Your name is not on the ballot. You are an official write-in candidate. So explain why your name is not on the ballot and what is it that compelled you to say, I need to get back into this race?
Well, for the entire 3 years that I've been away, people kept asking me, you got to run again, you got to run again. And frankly, I was a hard no. I've done my service to the community. I love the community. I continue to work on issues in the community. But being back in the ranker just was not something that I wanted to do. And frankly, my wife didn't want me to do it either. So up until the end of January, people kept asking me. I'd come out of Mass and people would say, Steve, how come you're not running? Why aren't you running? We need you back. And we can't vote for either one of these guys. Kept hearing that constantly. And then I started getting the mailers from the candidates. And that tipped me over the edge. A lot of falsehoods, lots of claims being taken that were unverifiable and incorrect. There was lots of back and forth, nastiness going on. And at that point I said, somebody's got to offer an opportunity so these voters don't get disenfranchised. And that person has to run a serious campaign. So in 2 weeks, I've been doing that.
Okay, and for many, they would view that as being a very daunting task because your name is not on the ballot, and people, are used to voting on one of the names they see there. So it's an education time for you then as well.
Well, yes, it's a daunting task. I haven't done a lot of research into this because, frankly, it's a waste of time. But I believe, should I win on Tuesday, which I anticipate, I'll be the first person to win mayor's office on a write-in vote in the state of Wisconsin. 2 weeks out, I have to rely on word of mouth, my friends, the people who appreciated the work that I did, and that seems to be coming forward in droves. I talked briefly with the city clerk yesterday. She's got a lot of calls on how write-in votes work. Okay. So that's a good sign for me. And I've gotten great response in social media, great response via text and phone and emails and the like. So I'm heartened that this will be a successful opportunity.
We're speaking with Steve Olson, who is a write-in candidate for the position of mayor for the city of Franklin. You indicated it's about ending the rancor. You said Franklin has become a punchline over the past 3 years, and the politicians are tied to special interest, including the Muslim Civic Alliance. So break this down for us. Tell us what you said. Get over the rancor. What are we needing to get over here?
Well, there's been endless reports of impropriety by the current mayor. His opposition is well known throughout the community for lawsuits. Just Monday, he filed a lawsuit against Mayor Nelson. That's got to come to a stop. We have to bring back integrity, honesty, forthrightness. Frankly, we have to bring back the roots from Franklin, which are the Judeo-Christian values, and specifically Christian values. Franklin used to be a 79% Christian community. That's changing. Now, I have no objections to the Muslims. I have 2 neighbor families that are Muslims, and they're wonderful people. I have no objections to that. We just have to be thoughtful about how we plan out our community. And that's the issue there. There is no thought being done on any development within the city of Franklin.
So let's just talk about the Muslim issue here, because Mayor John Nelson has been endorsed by the Muslim Civic Alliance. We know that, was it back in April of last year, they purchased some 13 acres of Showtime Cinema property. And then just recently in February, 11-acre Loomis Road parcel was purchased. We understand there's another purchase coming up perhaps as early as May. That may happen as well in that same vicinity. Is there concern as to that kind of expansion coming from the followers of Islam?
I'm hearing both sides of that. People say we've got to stop this, and then other people who say they have every right to do this. And that argument is the legally correct answer. Yes, the Muslim community has every legal right to buy these properties, and within the zoning and other land use restrictions, do what they want with it. People sell to the highest bidder. The land down in that area of Franklin is open spaces, and that's the retirement plan for the people that own it. So it's a tough situation. It is definitely changing the character of the city of Franklin.
Okay, so would you have done anything different as mayor had you been in office the last 3 years concerning this?
I would have had more frank conversations with the leadership of the Islamic community, who I know. I know the leadership of the Islamic Society. As a matter of fact, I met with them before the last election. They chose not to endorse me after they committed to supporting me, and then they chose to go with Mayor Nelson, which is fine, that's their right. But as you know, I'm a strong Catholic. I have strong Catholic roots in the city, and perhaps that had an effect. I don't know.
Well, what do you see as the major issues that are confronting Franklin at this time?
The morale around the city hall is terrible.
The employees?
Employees, they're disheartened. The leadership is fragmented and inexperienced. That's got to change back. Mayor Nelson has lost about 13 senior managers or ranking positions in the city over his span of 3 years. That kind of loss of institutional memory causes the citizens to feel a less responsive government. It takes longer to get answers, longer to get approvals. Everything's an issue in there. That's got to stop. And you can't build institutional knowledge instantaneously. So there's people like me who've been around, been doing the job. It's important to get back in there and help get projects moved forward. Everything's a transaction in the city of Franklin. There's no broad vision. There's no enumerated vision either. And that's got to fix.
And what is your enumerated?
We need business where business belongs, high quality business that contributes to the tax base and the well-being of the city of Franklin. We need good, high quality, compatible residential development to support what we hope to have is more retail development within the constructs, of course, of the industry. And that takes hard work. That takes going out and talking to developers. And I've got all of those relationships.
We know that there has been various, businesses have come into Franklin. We've seen the development here of the Islamic footprint as well. There's also been some controversy going on within the whole aspect of the sports complex there, the noise issue. You heard what the mayor had to say on that issue. What are your thoughts on that issue? It's been regularly in the news regarding the noise complaints and the kind of venues that are coming in there. Are you satisfied with what's taken place so far?
I'm not. And to some that may sound hypocritical because in the end of my last term, essentially my hands were tied on moving forward on any solutions to that based on a common council resolution in 2021 that said they wanted to wait for a county sound study. So my hands got tied. But there is solutions. I haven't spoken to the owner in 3 years, but I believe that he's willing to make the right solutions. Unfortunately, there is no plan. The new sound contractor, they have contract issues with him too. It's just a mess and it needs to be cleaned up. But the rock issues, there have been times when the owner has been very forthright with the neighbors but the mayor talked about sound checks. Well, if you do a sound check that doesn't mimic what the band is actually playing, it's not a valid sound check. So it's things like that I have the experience in. I used to be in this business, so I know this stuff.
Technology.
Yep. We'll see, but I'm hopeful. I have been known to bring people together. I have been known to separate them, but I have been known to bring people together. And frankly, Mike Zimmerman and I worked together to make the rock a reality, so I hope I can get him back and we can work this out together.
Friends, you're watching a special edition of inFocus tonight as we are mindful of the fact that the election season now underway, our spring election coming up Tuesdays being election day, early voting taking place right now through the end of this week. And we're talking right now specifically about the city of Franklin and the position of mayor. With us in studio is Steve Olson, a write-in candidate for this position. There has been friction that has happened in Franklin as well between the education system and also that of the Common Council, the Plan Commission, and there has been talk about a referenda there, et cetera, and tied into conditions from a referendum that had happened in Franklin. What is your solution to bring sides together on an issue that's caused division?
This again is a failure of leadership. When items like this come to the Plan Commission, it's incumbent on the Plan Commission, the mayor, and the leaders on the Common Council to look at the plans, look at how they impact the surrounding neighbors. And not being on the inside on this, there seems to be changes in the plans that were not anticipated by either the city or the neighbors. But what the current plan is not workable for the neighbors. And I see some other solutions. I'd be and I will work with the school board to see if that'll work for them. There's got to be some calm, unbiased discussions about what the needs are in the community and what the needs are for the school district.
You mentioned the morale of City Hall. How do you see the working relationship right now between the mayor and the aldermen in the city? And then also, how would you describe the morale of the community as a whole?
I think the morale of the community is they're sick and tired of the press we've been getting over the last 3 years. My slogan is let's make Franklin proud again. When I left office, we were the crown jewel of the suburbs because we had lots of development that was good development, high quality development. We have good people in the city of Franklin, and they were relatively happy with, of course, the normal growing pains and the normal issues that we had. That's all gone away for personal lawsuits and stories in the newspaper and all of that stuff. That's got to stop. And I've got a clean record. You can CCAP me all you want. I think my last speeding ticket came off record 15 years ago. So I'm good. I don't like lawsuits. I'm not afraid of them as a matter of profession, but that's all got to stop. We've got to learn to get through these kind of things and live with ethics and morality. And that's what's lacking in leadership. So
in essence, there are three running for the seat,
Yep.
Basil Ryan being one, the current mayor, and then yourself. Describe how you would see the major differences between you and the other two.
I'm much more reasoned than either of my opponents, and I don't like speaking ill of my opponents. That's just my track record in campaigning has always been be positive and talk about myself. But the big difference is I've done the job for 9 years, and as an alderman for 12 before that, I know what it takes to get something through City Hall. I have a strong sense of what the employees need and want from their employers, which happen to be the citizens of the city of Franklin. So that experience is what can help turn this around, improve the attitude. When you lose a dozen or more top executives, that's a big vacuum, and the employees below are looking over their shoulder. Why not? What's next? Can't have that. That's not a good way to manage.
Steve, you mentioned that the clerk's office has been receiving many phone calls asking, how do I vote for this guy? What is the process? So for those who don't know that process, tell us about it.
It's just like voting for someone whose name is printed, except you have to print my name or some version of it that's reasonable facsimile. You got to check the box and then fill in my name. You can put Olson. You can put. I'm hoping you can put Steve O. I hope you can put Mayor Olson. But the state law says that the clerk's office has to determine the intent of the voter, not necessarily what they've written on the page. Okay. So this could be very interesting.
So there's a line below the two candidates right now with another bubble with a line there that they would have to write in Steve Olson. Right,
and this is pretty hard for me because on just about every one of my elections I've been number one on the ballot. So, it'll be all right. We'll be fine.
So in conclusion, what one thing do you want our viewers to keep in mind as they go to the polls and cast their vote?
Calm, reasoned, experienced, mature management of the city, and let's stop the arguments.
Okay.
Let's go back to the way Franklin is known to be. It's a good, strong, hardworking community with good people and lots of land.
And you've got a website people can go to as well?
Yeah, you're going to ask me this.
Contact for Franklin Mayor.
Thank you, Jim.
Olson for Franklin Mayor.wordpress.com. It's on this screen there. Olson for Franklin Mayor.wordpress.com. Also your Facebook, facebook.com/Steve Olson for Mayor.
The other good thing is you can just Google Steve Olson Mayor, and that'll bring up pages and pages on me, good and bad. Okay. So that's a fair way to do it.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate the time, and happy Easter.
Great, thank you. And happy Easter to you as well.
Thank you.
Steve Olson with us in studio tonight, again, running for the office as a writing candidate for the city of Franklin. A reminder, friends, that early voting is underway through the end of this week. Election Day is this coming Tuesday. Polls open at 7 in the morning. They close at 8 o'clock in the evening. Wisconsin has same-day registration. If you are not registered to vote, you'll have to take the necessary identification with you to register on Tuesday and cast your vote. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, there are many, many different races on many different ballots. It depends on where you live, what community you live in. And so the way you can find out is go to the website myvote.wi.gov. myvote.wi.gov. You see different blue boxes when you go to that site, and one of those is where what's on my ballot. Also, where do I vote? What's on my ballot? You'll find other information there as well, but you can click on what's on my ballot. Once you do that, you put in your physical location, your street address, and you hit the little button there, and it'll take you right to your sample ballot that you can find out what's on your ballot. Again, some of you are voting on mayors, some on school board seats, municipal judges, a statewide race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Some will have referenda questions as well, but myvote.wi.gov. We thank you for watching this special edition of WVCY TV 30's In Focus program. And as our guest has mentioned as well, may you have a very blessed Resurrection Sunday. Thanks for watching.